Hello and welcome back to my RC channel. I'm AndyRC and today I'm going to be taking a closer look at the Topsky FPV watch. Now I did feature this guy in my The Media and Drones video, but I got a couple of things wrong, so I wanted to give it a fair review. Now, I've only actually found one decent use for it, and that is while I'm flying with my buddies, I can tune into their channel and watch their flying. Now, I have to wear prescription glasses, so if I want to do that otherwise, I have to take the glasses off, put my goggles on, and it's a bit of a pain. So, it has proven to be decent for that. And the things that I got wrong in that video is, first of all, the way that you switch it on. I pressed both of these buttons, and that is not true. If you press both of these buttons, then it will reset the band and channel, but if you just long press the band button here, then it will turn on. It will always say Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Banggood, and I think that was a bad decision by them because you cannot turn it off, certainly not through the USB anyways. You'd have to do some hacking, I suppose, if you wanted to change that. They could have made that customizable, have your own logo on there, but it seems like that is not the case. So yeah, it does save the channel that it was last on. So if we go through some of the specs, it is a 320 by 240 resolution screen. It is 4:3 obviously, and you can't switch it to 16:9. The screen is 2 inches and it is using a MMCX connector. Now I want to talk about this because it comes with a 90-degree MMCX connector and mine broke, and it fits in there like so, and it's got a little clip on it there. Now I found this clip to be in the wrong place. I guess it's in the right place for if it is sat flat and you are on a workbench and using it in that way. Let me just get to the right channel here actually. So we want Fat Shark channel 1. There you go. So that is the picture that you get, and it's probably not going to show up on the camera, but you can definitely pixel spot there. But yeah, it's in a ideal location if it's flat, but when it's on your arm and you're looking at it, then the stock antenna it comes with is facing the wrong direction and needs to be up like that. So I would have liked to have seen another clip where you can clip it in vertically, and then that will give you a better direction for this linear antenna. Now, this is not the stock antenna that it came with, and there is a reason for that, and that's because it broke off when I was trying to pull it out. Now, that's the one thing about these 90-degree SMA connectors, is that they are quite difficult to pull out, and the stock one actually had the metal part break off inside. So I thought, oh no, that's going to be impossible to get out. But actually, what I did was I took a broken capacitor, not this one, cut it to the same length, and then very carefully soldered to the sides of this part here. And then I pulled on it, and it came out, and I'm now using this iFlight connector, which is actually a little bit longer. Now, of course, with this being MMCX, you can use other connectors, but the problem I found with MMCX is if we just connect that in there, even if you have got a coax that is semi-rigid like this one, the MMCX connector fits quite loose. So once again, I would have liked to have seen another clip there for our antennas. But anyways, yes, so there's also an auto search function, and you do that by pressing the channel button for a couple of seconds and then letting go, and it'll do an auto search. Now, I don't think it finds the strongest signal, it just waits until it gets a decent signal, and then lands on it. So let's see if it does that. So there, it has gone for band A, and this is definitely on Fat Shark 1. So if we long press it again, does it just start again from A? Yeah, let's see if it can ever actually get the correct channel. Probably not, because I've not got an antenna connected there, but you know, I'm in close range there, and it's saying A7, which isn't quite right. Let's put an antenna in here and then see if it does any better. So it's definitely picking up more channels. Those are ghosting channels there, but it's gone past the Fat Shark 1 channel, which is what it is. So A7 again, but yeah, this is definitely set to Fat Shark 1. So if we go to F there and then Fat Shark 1, and takes a little bit of getting used to that channel, but yeah, there you go, that is the channel that it is on. So yeah, auto search, I don't know, I don't think it's that useful. Use smart audio, get on the channel that you know, and then do it manually is my personal opinion. But yeah, we have got a USB on the side here for charging, and then we have got a 300 milliamp battery inside. So that's the manual that it comes with. So yeah, what have we got here? This is just different languages. You also get a USB cable as well for charging, and you get this clip which clips on the back. I know Mr. Steele made this popular. So we've got some Velcro that fits on the back of the watch. I'm not putting it on because it's quite difficult to get off, and then you are given some spare Velcro to put on your transmitter. One main issue though that I have with this is the reflections, and I'm going to have to turn it off to show that. The screen is so reflective, and you probably saw it in my flight that you could barely see the actual FPV that was going on at the time. However, the camera did make it look worse than it was, and of course if you get it at a particular angle, then the picture is clear. What I would say is, if you are interested in this watch, then you can get some anti-reflective pads, and I use that on my speed meter here, and it works really well, and you can cut it to size. So I would do that with this because it's also a fingerprint magnet as well, as you can see. Now, I know some of you are going to be looking at this and wondering what is the point of it if it doesn't have a DVR. And I think some of you are probably going to be thinking as well, can we modify it to fit a DVR? And while on the subject of fitment, this thing is really comfortable. We have got really nice, comfortable, soft material straps. And then we've got two holes here, so when it's on your arm it is really comfortable. But yeah, there seems to be some confusion on how to get this thing apart. Now, thanks to my friend Patrick, you know who you are, Patrick, I will show you how to take this thing apart, because it is not the way that you would think. So we've got two screws underneath here. This one doesn't want to come out, there we go, and then a screw on this side as well. So just make sure you use a decent screwdriver as well. As I say, using this really cheap one, but when I did this first I used a proper precision one. Now I think there is a lot of confusion on how to take this apart because we've got a seam along here, and usually the way these things work is that there are multiple clips along the side, and that is how it comes apart. But with this one, that is not the case. It is the screen that lifts out, and the way that you get the screen to lift out is you get something very tiny like this very tiny Allen key here, and then you very gently press down, and what you will feel happen is the screen to start pop out, and then you can do the same on the other side there, and as you will see, very carefully, because there's a ribbon connector underneath, you can take it apart, and that's how it comes apart. So let's see if we can figure out how we could add a DVR to this thing. So the first thing that I'm going to do is remove this ribbon connector, because they are very weak and they will not take many bends until something will split or break in these fine traces here. So the screen completely comes apart like that. So we have got some markings on this board here. So it says the date 30th of November 2018, and then Topsky and watch _ version 2.1. Now my guess is that this circuit board is just going to lift off now that the screen is off, because we've got some pads here, and I think that keeps this in place, and also the buttons and the connector and the USB probably plays some part in keeping it in place. So I'm going to very carefully try and prise this up. The light is coming on because it's pressing the button as I'm lifting it up, so I need to be very careful here. So let's see if I can pull it out. What have we got underneath? Looks like the battery there is actually stuck. Yeah, that is stuck down. But there we go. The board completely comes out. And this is the receiver, and it's all labeled up. So I think we can add a DVR to this. Whether we can add it and also get it to fit in the watch is a different question, but actually, you know, there's quite some thickness to this battery, so if that can fit underneath, then maybe we can find DVR small enough to go under here. Oh yeah, what was that little dot there? Let's see if I can find it on here. So it just seems to be an LED as far as I can see. So have we got anything special underneath this tape? It's usually to cover up a wire that they have had to reroute. So let's see if that is the case. Not seeing anything on that one. Let's try this one. It's not holding it in the RF module because that is soldered in good and proper. So what is it actually doing? Let's have a look at this one. Ah yes, there we go, look. So I don't know if this is going to come out on the camera, but we have got this little surface mount component here which looks like a ceramic capacitor, or it could be a resistor as well, and then we've got this very tiny wire here going up to this component which looks like a FET. So this material here is probably securing this down so that it doesn't break, but it's probably also hiding the fact that a mistake was made somewhere in the design of this and they've had to bodge a wire between two components. Now, whatever adhesive they have used to secure in this battery is really strong, so I'm going to have to be really careful in order not to damage the battery to get it to come out. Now, we don't have any markings on the battery at all to show that it is 300 milliamp. However, judging by the size, I can very well believe it's 300 milliamp. What I'm going to do is very carefully try and prise it off this material here. So I'm going to take a screwdriver and very carefully, there we go, lift it up. That is stuck down really hard, and look at that on the other side. we can't see what it says anyways, and I imagine this isn't going to come off very easily either. Let's give it a try. It's that yellow stuff, and it is really strong adhesive, this stuff. I don't think it's going to say anything on the other side anyways. But you can see there that we have got that thickness, so a few millimeters there. And what we've also got here as well is we have got a couple of latches here to stop the battery from moving, although I don't think we can get the battery any further over because of this screw hole here. So it'd be pretty tricky to fit a DVR inside here, I think, but I think it could be done because everything is nicely labelled up here on the board. Yeah, that's definitely not coming off very easily, and I'm going to leave it on, I think, and just assume that it is 300 milliamp because, you know, it's a huge size. The reason I don't want to take this off is I don't have anything that thin adhesive wise to put it back in place, and the fact that it is thin is probably helping the fact that we can have a screen and a circuit board go over the top of it. So let's just take it from them that it is 300 milliamp. Of course, if you did want to use some of this space to fit a DVR, you can always get a smaller capacity battery, but doing that will also mean that you will get less usage time out of the device itself, especially as you will be powering up a DVR unit at the same time as well. Okay, so to prove that you can add a DVR to this thing, in fact you can add a DVR to pretty much anything that has got a analog video receiver because they are usually all the same. So I've got a copter turned on over there, I've got everything plugged in, and I'm just going to switch it on and I'll show you the connections a little bit later, but you can see this is the RunCam DVR. Now I've got it on these little pins here so that I can remove it. Now I think this one is set to auto record. Despite this being small, it still doesn't fit in this case, and you might be thinking, oh, why would you bother with this when you can get big monitors that have all of this anyways? You would be surprised. Go and check out some of the stuff that the G10 guys have done. They've added on-screen displays, DVRs, and everything, but I'd like to keep the form factor the same. You know, have this watch, have a DVR small enough that would fit in here. Now, the problem with this DVR is I could probably actually make it fit, but the start and stop record button is on the opposite side to where the micro SD card is. And another problem with these being small is if you just pull the battery, then you lose your footage because there isn't enough room for a capacitor on there to realize that the power has been lost and it stopped the recording. So to stop the recording, I have to press this button here, and hopefully I will have a file on here which I will overlay whilst I'm talking, and you'll be able to see that it works. Now, the way that I've got it wired up is directly to the RF module. So the RunCam DVR runs off 3.3 volts, luckily. A lot of the G-Tang guys, and also using different DVRs, are having to use a regulator to boost it to 5 volts. But this one runs off 3.3 volts, and this gives out 3.3 volts. So if we take a look, ignore the colours because I've used this connector and I've changed the colours there, but we have got the ground there, and then next to that we have got the 3.3 volts, and then all the way over here, so second one across, that is the video. So that's how you attach a DVR to it. Now, do not attach the 3 volt and the ground directly to the power pads, because of course that will constantly power up the DVR and it will drain your battery. So have it on the RF module, and then you can switch it off, and as you can see, it turns off there. By the way, you also get a warning as well when the battery voltage starts to get low. So it's saying 3.6 volts there, so I need to charge this guy up. So I'm going to put this thing back together and use it for when I'm flying with my buddies, and if a DVR does come out that is suitable, I'm going to leave this connector here because it will fit underneath there. And I need to make sure that I put the buttons back in as well. Make sure when you put it back together that you put the ribbon cable back in first, otherwise it's pretty much impossible to get the ribbon cable in. And also remember to disconnect this as well, otherwise it's not going to go back in the case. One good thing about this against the G-Tang model is that it does race band, and you can do a modification to the G-Tang to get race band, I know, but I just like the fact that it has it out of the box. I just wish it also had a DVR out of the box as well. But there you go, that is my closer look at the Topsky FPV watch. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll get this back together and I'm going to be using it when I'm flying with my buddies, and hopefully one day we will have a DVR that is small enough, or maybe it already exists and I don't know about it, but I would love for it to fit there, and we can access the buttons, and we can also access the micro SD card, and it runs off 3.3 volts, so we don't have to have a regulator or anything like that. That would all be perfect. So if you know of anything like that, then put it in the comments below. I'm gonna show you a video now that I've already put on the channel of me flying with it, but if you didn't see that video, then it'll give you an idea of what to expect out of this watch out of the box. And if you can afford to do so, I'll link to my Patreon in the below. And as always, thanks so much for watching. Please continue to subscribe. Cheers. Look at that, man. Some skill. What do they say? Send it!
Send it, full throttle.
Oh man, that's going to look good. You got the camera going as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, straight through those trees, no problem.
Stay nice and low, 'cause it's quite scraggy.
What about the other one? Can you get through it? Yeah. Wow, easy man, easy. Check out them chemtrails. That's for my mate Tony. What's your opinion on chemtrails? Load of garbage?
Oh, I don't know. What the post? What's the conspiracy about it?
Conspiracy is that the government are
It's supposed to be like chemicals.
putting chemicals in the jet fuel, and it.
Do you know what, mate? It wouldn't surprise me.
Oh no!
It really wouldn't surprise me.
Tony, if you're listening to this, you've got another fan.
I'm sure the Earth is flat.
Oh, don't be. Oh man. Tony, meet Pete. That's a good flight you're doing. Tell you what, man, this is crystal clear, this watch thing. More chemtrails. Yeah, you can hear the sag, can't you? A little bit. Oh, I don't know there, man. Don't know.
Oh, I could there.
Yeah, yeah. 14 volts.
Yeah.
That's when I come in.
Oh god.
Good enough.
That'll do.